Hello, and I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me again. There we go, much better. This evening's scene is going to take place in the castle of Count Tintagel, which has been resting for some point abjutting one of the enchanted forests just outside of the Changeling Market. It is approximately lunchtime. Yes, let's make it lunchtime, as a matter of fact. As Crib ap Darwan enters the main hall to find the denizens of the castle enjoying lunch. There is even a table place set for him. Has a little name card.
Crib will nod to the various automata of the castle as he walks in, and he will make his way to the table.
You will notice that the fare on the table is now remarkably Southern comfort food, because I hired a new chef who happens to make Southern comfort food.
Okay, so collards, fried chicken, biscuit and gravy. Gotcha.
Tintagel is sitting with one of his legs kind of looped up over his chair as he sits at the head of the table, and he'll say, "Sir Crib, I trust that you're well."
Always.
Good. He'll very handily kind of toss you what looks like a file dossier.
Okay. Oh, grab it and kind of like, what? And then kind of thumb through it.
It basically details information that has been gathered on the actions that were taken in the city of Dundalk when it was retaken, etc., etc., etc. Basically, it's all the need to know common availability stuff. And Tintagel will continue. So, during the siege of Dundalk, or rather the recapture of the city, a certain individual by the name of, I believe his name is Aurelius, I can't remember his actual name of that character, Baelor, who is King Baelor's own messenger, became involved in the fighting. Apparently, through his actions, he enabled certain commoners to escape unharmed from the city proper. However, upon returning to Dublin, he invited several individuals, including myself, to an open party in our own city, King Baelor's own messenger. He will very handily throw you across an envelope. We kind of like whoop. I will actually see if I can. It's basically his invitation to the party that is not signed, but has in inverted commas. If you don't know who it is, it's me, Aurelius, blah blah blah.
Right.
And he'll say, "I went there in order to apprehend the felon because he is an enemy combatant, only to find Baroness Stormfury, the now Squire Morningstar." You can almost hear the distaste in his voice when he says that.
Oh, Morningstar's a squire?
Yes. To House Fiona, I believe.
Oh, that's not going to end well for anybody.
I'm inclined to agree. The rider, Blythe, and Mr. Kincaid were all there. They were enjoying an evening's company and frivolity with an enemy of the kingdom. They seemed to not think that there was anything morally questionable about this, with the exception of Mr. Kincaid, who was actively told by the Baroness not to engage the enemy combatant.
So it was Blythe, Stormfury, and Kincaid?
Blythe, Stormfury, Kincaid, and Morningstar.
Engaged in hospitalities.
Not just in hospitalities, but in open and frank conversation. Who knows what they could have let slip whilst they were so inebriated? Oh, and they were inebriated.
Right.
So, I inform the Baron Baelor that he is not welcome in this city. I also inform him that he is a traitor to his own house. We may be at war with the Baelor kingdom. However, there is no worse penalty for a she than actively turning traitor on your own house.
Do you
So,
think he did?
he enabled, as I said, the exact phrasing he used was he was slower than he should have been to report the attack so the commoners could flee. In doing so, he placed members of his own house at risk. We take a very dim view of this. Admittedly, we are happy that the commoners were saved. However, you should not in jeopardy those who are your sworn brothers and sisters via oath and words. To continue, I left in order to alert the town guard so that they could be broken out in order to prevent Lord Baelor from reaching the border, as I did not know at the time who it was that he could have spread such information to. After all, for all we know, they could have easily let slip our troop positions or movements. Anything is possible when you're in your cups, after all. Upon my return to the establishment where the party was taking place, how to phrase, I informed the guard what we were looking for and we returned. They encircled the building and we entered. It would seem as though Baron Baelor managed to slip out during the ruckus that was caused. Most unfortunate, I'm sure you will agree.
Yes.
So, it was at this point that those individuals who were actively harboring and aided in the escape of an enemy combatant and an enemy of the realm openly lied to members of the guard, saying, and I quote, that they did not allow an enemy of the kingdom to escape, more than likely believing in their own misbegotten, misguided ways that he was not an enemy of the kingdom. He is a member of the House of Liars. The fact is he can paint a pretty face upon anything he wishes, but he is still always and eternally going to be self-serving in his motivations. So, in front of a member of House Gwydion, they misrepresented the truth. They twisted it with their own opinions and subtle interposes, which of course would make me out to be a liar, as I told the exact truth. So,
About those Gwydion eyes.
Indeed. Then, when I asked them to clarify their position in front of the Gwydion, they were unable to do so when they were asked direct questions where there was not wiggle room. So, when they refused to do this, because she had actively called me a liar, I was forced to challenge Baroness Stormfury to a duel. She called me a liar publicly, by inference.
I see.
Indeed. He steeples his fingers together and he says, or rather he continues, they will also be, I hope, charged with treason. They have openly endangered the realm, and that is what is needed in this matter, so that others do not feel as though they can simply chum around with the enemy. But then again, that rests in the Duke's hands, though then again, he is a very seely member of House Fiona. I have no doubt that he will see my perspective.
Curious to see if Morningstar is a member of House Fiona and the Duke a member of House Fiona, how he will respond.
Unfavorably, I have no doubt.
Curious.
However, in this upcoming conflict, I have deemed that you will second me.
Of course.
It makes a strong statement. He will gesture at his trolls, who are probably eating at this point, and he will say, "Trolls are excellent, and indeed they are seen as members of the commoner kiths. However, I will guarantee you know many trolls who are knights. Do you not agree with that statement?"
He'll kind of like, his eyes will flit back and forth as he's kind of, looks like he's tabulating in his head. That's a fair statement to say.
Whereas in picking you, not only a rare and interesting kith, if you do not mind my saying so, but also more directly associated, not necessarily with anything. You're not associated with being a noble or a commoner. It makes more of a statement as to my willingness and openness towards members of non-she nobles. And indeed, not picking a troll intimates the fact that I'm not merely favoring, or rather looking to a kit that is a traditional ally of mine.
Hmm.
A stronger statement, wouldn't you agree?
Powerful. A little out of norm, but
He smiles in a very she way. You know how she can smile?
yes.
And he says, "Would you ever consider me in any practical way to be normal?"
Well, for a Dougal. And he'll just kind of look around. Like, he will stare at several random objects in the room.
That's entirely fair. At this moment, I'd like to think that a little valve hisses out steam just somewhere behind you, like.
It's, you run pretty par for the course.
Hmm.
You
We
are...
are we are a house of eccentrics, I will admit.
And with the she being such a young kith, you do have a very certain way of doing things.
Yes, I was led to understand that the Gildu were ancient, something to do with the dreams man had as to the forests when man was young, etc.
Worshipped as gods before they even knew what a god was.
Yes, and then it was when man decided to put on crowns that the she were born, so you do very much trump us in terms of age.
You have... But you all, as a whole, fit very nicely into your mold, and you follow the role that you have been given.
I must admit that I find myself curious. In some future time, when we are not busy with the conflict with the North, you shall have to teach me more on the topic of the. Is it Galen? Galen?
Yes, well, there are several Galen, but not
Oh
all
yes,
of
I
us
wish
get
to. I
along.
wish to understand them as an entity. If we consider Kithane and Galen to be cousins, I wish to understand our
Mm.
cousins.
I am as close to the merfolk as I am to you. They're, we are different and sparse, and are spawned of different dreams.
Yes, I was led to understand that the numbers of your kind were not exactly quick to replenish themselves because man has chosen now different dreams.
It's amazing that a suit and a tie holds as much power as a crown of gold.
Yes. This is also why the Shi are changing. Now we become those in suits and ties, the men who sit behind beautiful desks. Whereas before we were, of course, those clad in golden armor, etc., etc. You have to, unfortunately, change with the times, I suppose.
Sometimes. But there's always room for the forest. There's always a tree. and wherever the wolves howl at night, that is our kingdom.
Indeed. But he will very casually dab his mouth with a napkin before he continues. It is unfortunate, the fact that these individuals opted to commit treason so shortly after such a great victory. The people need heroes, but I do not feel as though they need heroes who will stand in their glory one moment and then proceed to trade them in backroom deals the next.
Indeed.
I unfortunately have no idea who the second that will represent Baroness Stormfury will be. More than likely, I should think her partner or her husband, or I'm not exactly sure what the marital relationship is. I believe in the previous iteration, the Baroness Stormfury was male, but I believe her name is Ravana was still female. But I believe that Baroness Ravana will more than likely second her mate. As to the terms of the duel, he will open his arms relatively wide and shrug, and he'll say, the only thing that has been agreed is that it shall be to the surrender, not to the death."
A duel to yielding.
Yes. Lady Stormfury will be the domain of others to deal with when it comes to the matters of justice for her treason. That is not for me to mete out. I am merely fighting her for my own personal honor.
Do you wish to engage in combat or sport?
I believe that there was a talk of combat via archery. He will casually shrug. In all honesty, I do not favor any particular branch over the other. Whichever is, he will contemplate. I am fair with most things. So when it comes to the actual type of the duel, be yielding, I am happy to commit. I am happy to engage in whatever my opponent wishes, be it swords, be it lances, be it etc.
Hmm.
Be it games. He will contemplate. Yes. Yes. We will be open on this matter. As to the time and place, I am equally nonplussed, provided such a ground does not yield obvious advantage. But then again, you're not an idiot.
Indeed.
I only have one moron in my service, and Squire Littlechild is fortunately not representing me in this.
How are your
He has
skills with the bow?
He'll shrug. I'm reasonable.
Sword?
I prefer firearms myself, but I can shoot if need be. And the same with the sword. I can fight if needs be. I personally care for neither here nor there. Personally, I would prefer a contest in which arts and treasures were allowable, however, if this can be wrenched and agreed upon.
Well, I'm sure. Stormfury does have a penchant for arts.
Indeed. I do not require them.
Mm.
I will merely be able to end the contest quicker should I be able to use them.
Oh, yes. It will... I will suggest not combat being your second. At least not for quite some time. against Lady Stormfury.
He will say, in that case, attempt to convince them that a contest in some other manner would be best. I do not openly care what.
And the reason I say this is before their raid, before they went off into Dundal and did what they did,
Yes.
they sought my magics to keep them alive. And she is under a well of life for, I'd guess another week or so.
I see. As I've said, I am openly amenable to any contest.
All right. And what house is Lady Stormfury again?
Asian.
Would you prefer a duel in the real world, duel or competition in the real world, or in the near dreaming?
It depends on the nature of the contest, agreed. As I've said, I have no personal stake. It makes no difference to me. He will contemplate and he will say, whatever the contest, make it so that it is a spectacle, something that we can show the people, that they will be entertained at. Bread and circuses, you understand?
Oh, I understand. I have a few ideas.
Good. If you could convince her a competition of craftsmanship, that would be wonderful.
She fancies herself a hunter.
Yes.
She fancies herself someone who can take down foes larger than themselves.
That is an interesting concept. A trial by hunt.
Yes.
Whomever can bring in the trophy from the largest or most dangerous animal is the winner.
Or and he just kind of smiles. Monsters can be made from either the dreams of people or great beasts can be roused from the grounds.
Indeed. This is a fair concept. Yes, submit to her this trial. One who's, as I say, a trial of the hunt. Let us see who it is who emerges victorious.
It would require wit, skill, combat precision, appropriate art use and knowledge.
Well, he'll smile. I haven't slayed a dragon recently, but I'm sure I could give it a fair crack.
I'm sure your housemate would not like to hear that sentence.
She is not currently here, and I say it in jest.
He just smirks. Just trying to offer some advice.
Yes, yes, one understands.
Well then.
Very well.
I shall go seek out Lady Stormfury's second.
I'm rather sure that if you go to the Changeling Market and merely make it known why it is that you are there, she will find you eventually.
Indeed. I shall be off.
Very well, then.
I have a competition to organize.
Tintagel will give a seated bow from where he is sitting before we will close out our scene. Yay!
Yay!
Thank you for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another Scene in Darkness in Dublin. Have a pleasant day, y'all.